Let's be completely honest from the very beginning. One of the biggest mistakes people make after ending a relationship with a narcissist is believing that silence means the story is over. They notice the lack of messages, the sudden distance, or perhaps see the narcissist appearing happy and carrying on with life. Naturally, they assume the narcissist has accepted the breakup and moved on. In many cases, however, that assumption couldn't be further from the truth. Unlike emotionally healthy people who gradually process loss, accept reality, and begin letting go, narcissists often experience separation very differently. Their attachment is rarely rooted in genuine love or emotional intimacy. Instead, it is tied to control, validation, admiration, and the constant emotional reactions they received throughout the relationship. Losing that steady source of attention creates a deep psychological wound they struggle to accept. To a narcissist, you were never viewed as an equal partner with your own independent thoughts, emotions, and identity. Instead, you became an extension of their ego, someone expected to reinforce their self-image while absorbing their emotional instability. The moment you establish firm boundaries, stop reacting to manipulation, or walk away completely, they experience far more than the end of a relationship. They experience the collapse of a source they depended on to maintain their fragile sense of self. Ironically, your calmness after leaving often intensifies their fixation. As you begin healing, regaining confidence, and living peacefully without them, they are forced to face something their ego cannot tolerate: the realization that they no longer control your emotions. Your independence becomes undeniable proof that their influence is fading, and that loss of control often fuels an obsession that continues long after the relationship itself has ended. One of the clearest signs that a narcissist has not truly let go is their overwhelming need to keep watching your life from a distance. On the surface, they may act completely indifferent. They might tell friends they have moved on, behave coldly if they see you in public, or make it seem as though you no longer matter to them. But behind that carefully maintained image is a very different reality. Their actions often reveal an ongoing obsession with knowing what you are doing, who you are with, and whether they still occupy space in your thoughts. This monitoring is rarely obvious. Instead, it happens quietly through social media, mutual acquaintances, or subtle attempts to gather information without revealing their true intentions. They may repeatedly view your online activity, ask mutual friends casual questions about your life, or even create anonymous accounts to observe you without your knowledge. Sometimes they begin appearing in familiar places you regularly visit, making those encounters seem like harmless coincidences. These behaviors are not random. They are calculated attempts to measure whether they still have emotional influence over you. A delayed reaction, visible discomfort, curiosity, or even anger tells them they still have access to your emotional world. That reassurance becomes another form of validation. Ironically, the healthier and more emotionally detached you become, the stronger their frustration often grows. Your refusal to respond removes the attention they crave and forces them to confront something they desperately want to avoid: the reality that they no longer control your life. Your silence becomes the one thing they cannot manipulate, and that loss of influence often intensifies their determination to keep watching from the shadows. Just when you finally begin feeling like yourself again, something unexpected often happens. Out of nowhere, the narcissist suddenly finds a reason to reach out. It could be a simple text message, an apology that sounds sincere, a request for help, or an urgent situation that seems to require your immediate attention. While these moments may appear spontaneous, they are frequently part of a manipulation strategy known as hoovering, an attempt to pull you back into the emotional cycle you worked so hard to escape. The timing is rarely accidental. Narcissists often seem to recognize when you are no longer consumed by the breakup. As your focus shifts toward healing, rebuilding your confidence, and creating a peaceful life, they begin sensing that their influence is disappearing. That realization creates deep insecurity, motivating them to test whether they can still gain access to your emotions. To increase the chances of success, they carefully tailor their approach. Some appeal to nostalgia by reminding you of happier memories. Others express overwhelming regret, promise dramatic personal change, or suddenly become affectionate in ways they never were during the relationship. These messages are designed to speak directly to your emotional needs and lower your defenses. It is important to remember that genuine reconciliation requires consistent accountability, not emotional persuasion. In many cases, the real objective is not restoring a healthy relationship, but confirming they still have the ability to trigger a response. Whether your reaction is hope, anger, sadness, or curiosity makes little difference. Any emotional engagement reassures them that they still occupy space in your mind. Protecting your boundaries and refusing to re-enter the cycle is often the strongest decision you can make. When repeated attempts to reconnect no longer produce the reaction they want, narcissists often change tactics completely. Instead of trying to control you directly, they begin focusing on controlling how other people see you. This is where the smear campaign usually begins. Although it may appear to be driven by anger alone, it is often fueled by something much deeper, an inability to accept that you escaped their influence and continued moving forward without them. Rather than investing their energy into healing, they spend countless hours reshaping the story in their favor. They may exaggerate past events, spread misleading rumors, or present themselves as the innocent victim while quietly portraying you as unstable, unreasonable, or emotionally difficult. Their goal is simple. If they can influence people's opinions before you ever speak, they believe they can protect the image they have carefully built over the years. What makes this especially painful is that they often watch your response from a distance. They pay attention to whether mutual friends begin acting differently, whether you defend yourself publicly, or whether the rumors cause visible emotional distress. Every emotional reaction becomes evidence in their mind that they still have influence over your life. The strongest response is often the one that feels the hardest in the moment, refusing to participate. Constantly defending yourself keeps you connected to the drama they created. Remaining calm, protecting your peace, and allowing your character to speak through your actions gradually removes the power they hope to gain. Silence is not weakness. In situations like these, it often becomes your greatest source of strength. Even after you have created distance and limited all direct contact, you may begin noticing something that feels strangely familiar. You unexpectedly cross paths with the narcissist at places you regularly visit. They appear at your favorite cafe, arrive at the same gym during your usual workout time, or show up at social gatherings connected to your circle. At first, it may seem like an incredible coincidence, and you may even question whether you're reading too much into it. In many situations, however, these encounters are far from accidental. Narcissists often remember your routines, favorite locations, and daily habits in remarkable detail. They may deliberately place themselves in your environment, hoping to create an unexpected encounter that instantly disrupts your emotional progress. Their appearance alone is often enough to stir old memories, trigger anxiety, or make you question whether the relationship is truly over. The real purpose of these encounters is rarely reconciliation. Instead, they are opportunities to observe your reaction. They pay close attention to your body language, facial expressions, and emotional responses, searching for any sign that they still occupy space in your mind. Even a brief moment of visible discomfort can reassure them that they continue to hold some level of influence. That is why maintaining your composure is so important. Calmly continuing with your day without engaging denies them the emotional response they came looking for. Every time you refuse to react, you reinforce a powerful message. Your healing no longer depends on their presence, and your life continues forward with or without them. As your healing continues and your confidence grows, you may notice another dramatic shift in the narcissist's behavior. Many people expect that once enough time has passed, the narcissist will quietly move on and leave them alone. Surprisingly, the opposite often happens. When they realize they can no longer influence your emotions directly, they frequently become far more visible and attention-seeking than before. Their social media suddenly transforms into a carefully staged performance. You may see endless posts highlighting a seemingly perfect new relationship, impressive achievements, expensive purchases, luxurious vacations, or a lifestyle that appears unbelievably happy. At first glance, it can seem like they have completely replaced you and are living their best life. It is important not to mistake this performance for genuine happiness. Much of it is designed with an audience in mind. They hope the carefully selected photos, captions, and public displays will trigger feelings of regret, jealousy, or self-doubt within you. They want you to question your decision and wonder if you made a mistake by leaving. In reality, your emotional independence is often what drives this behavior. Seeing you move forward without needing their approval challenges the image they have of themselves. Instead of accepting that loss of control, they attempt to provoke an emotional response from a distance. Every post becomes another test to see if they can still capture your attention. The greatest victory is refusing to participate. Continue building your own life. Celebrate your own progress privately, and remember that genuine healing never needs to be performed for an audience. Real peace speaks far louder than any carefully crafted online image. Once a narcissist realizes you have completely closed every direct path back into your life, they rarely stop trying to gather information. Instead, they simply become more indirect. When phone calls go unanswered, messages are ignored, and healthy boundaries remain firm, they often begin reaching out through the people around you. Mutual friends, relatives, co-workers, and even casual acquaintances may suddenly become unexpected sources of information. The narcissist may casually ask how you are doing, whether you are seeing someone new, how your career is progressing, or if you seem happy. These questions often sound innocent, but they are carefully designed to collect details about your life without contacting you directly. Sometimes they intentionally mention your name, knowing word of the conversation will eventually make its way back to you. Simply hearing that they asked about you can be enough to pull your attention back toward them. Even a few minutes spent thinking about them provides the psychological reassurance they have been seeking. This indirect monitoring usually reflects something important. They are struggling with the fact that they no longer have direct access to your emotions or daily life. Complete uncertainty is deeply uncomfortable for someone who once depended on controlling the narrative and knowing exactly where they stood in your world. The healthiest response is consistency. Resist the temptation to send messages through mutual friends or explain yourself to people gathering information on their behalf. The less emotional access they receive, the weaker their influence becomes. Every day you maintain your boundaries. You strengthen your independence while reminding yourself that your peace no longer depends on their approval or their ability to keep tabs on your life. When you step back and look at all of these behaviors together, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. What you are witnessing is not genuine love, lasting romance, or someone desperately trying to win you back. It is an ongoing struggle for control. A narcissist does not remain fixated because they cannot live without you. They remain fixated because they cannot easily accept losing the influence they once had over your emotions and your life. What they truly miss is not your personality, your kindness, or the relationship itself. They miss the constant validation, the emotional reactions, and the ability to shape your reality around their own needs. Watching you heal, rebuild your confidence, and move forward without them reminds them that the control they once relied upon no longer exists. The most powerful transformation happens when you stop trying to understand every message, every social media post, or every attempt to get your attention. Instead of searching for hidden meanings, you begin recognizing the pattern for what it really is. That understanding gives you something far more valuable than closure. It gives you freedom. Real closure is something you create for yourself. It does not come from an apology, an explanation, or finally getting them to admit what they did. It comes from accepting the truth, trusting your own experiences, and refusing to let their behavior determine your future. As you continue focusing on your own healing, personal growth, and emotional well-being, their attempts to pull you back gradually lose all power. The less attention you give the manipulation, the stronger you become. Eventually, you realize that your greatest victory was never changing the narcissist. It was reclaiming your peace, protecting your boundaries, and building a life where their influence no longer has any place.